Before Columbus, before the word America even existed, the continents of the Western Hemisphere were already home to a stunning variety of peoples and civilizations. From the frozen Arctic to the steaming Amazon basin. Indigenous societies had spent thousands of years mastering their environments, building economies, cultures, and belief systems as diverse as the landscapes themselves. They were hunters, farmers, architects, astronomers, and traders. Some lived in small nomadic bands, others in cities. That rivaled European capitals in size. Each adapted uniquely to local climates, natural resources, and spiritual traditions. Proving that the Americas were not a new world at all, but an ancient one. In the Arctic, life was defined by ice, wind, and endurance. The Inuit, Yupik, and Aleut peoples developed one of the most remarkable adaptations to extreme cold in human history. They hunted whales, seals, and walruses, not just for food, but for oil, tools, and clothing. Without trees, they built igloos and semi-subterranean homes from snow, stone, and driftwood. Their kayaks and yumiaks, made from animal skins stretched over bone frames, were masterpieces of engineering. More than survival, Inuit life revolved around community cooperation, storytelling, and respect for the spirits of animals, a deep ecological understanding. Rooted in the cycles of nature. Moving south along the Pacific coast, a very different world appears. Lush forests, abundant rivers, and endless salmon runs. Here, from Alaska to California, live the Haida, Tlingit, Kwakwaka'wakw, and Coast Salish peoples. They did not rely on farming. Instead, the ocean and forest sustained them. Salmon was the cornerstone of life, while cedar trees provided canoes, totem poles, and longhouses. Wealth and status were expressed through art and the potlatch, a grand ceremonial feast of gift-giving that strengthened social bonds and honored ancestors. These societies were stratified, artistic, and rich in oral tradition. Their carved masks and totems still speak of deep spiritual connections between humans, animals, and the supernatural world. Inland, the Great Plains stretched for thousands of miles, a sea of grass that supported millions of bison. The early ancestors of the Lakota, Blackfoot, and Comanche hunted these herds on foot, long before horses arrived from Europe. They organized life around mobility. Lightweight teepees made of bison hides could be packed and carried. Every part of the animal was used: meat for food, bones for tools, hides for clothing. Spiritual life centered on harmony with nature. The sun dance, visions, and the sacred pipe reflected a worldview where humans were only one part of a larger living circle. In the deserts of today's Arizona, New Mexico, and northern Mexico, indigenous innovation took root in stone and clay. The ancestral Puebloans, Anasazi, Hohokam, and Mogollon peoples transformed arid land into productive farmland. The Hohokam engineered irrigation canals rivaling those of ancient Egypt. The Puebloans built multi-story cliff dwellings, entire cities carved into canyon walls, like Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon. Aligned with solar and lunar cycles. Corn, beans, and squash, the three sisters, formed the basis of their diet and cosmology. Community life revolved around kivas, circular ceremonial chambers, where people gathered for ritual and governance.
This decision will affect the 7 generations to come. We must consider the path carefully.
If we do not act...
East of the Mississippi River, fertile soil and thick forests nurtured powerful farming cultures. The Adena, Hopewell, and Mississippian peoples built monumental earthworks, geometric mounds, and platform pyramids that serve as temples, tombs, and elite residences. Cahokia, near modern St. Louis, was the largest city north of Mexico around the year 1100. With over 20,000 inhabitants, it featured plazas, palisades, and Monk's Mound, a massive earth structure taller than Egypt's pyramids at Giza's base. In the northeast, the Iroquois Confederacy developed an advanced system of government, a great law of peace that united 5 nations and influenced later democratic ideas in North America.
This wampum represents the great law of peace. We must deliberate with clear minds and...
Far to the south, the Amazon rainforest held civilizations long overlooked by historians. The Maranhão of Brazil created intricate pottery and raised settlements on artificial mounds to avoid floods. Meanwhile, in the Andes, cultures like the Moche, Nazca, and Tiwanaku laid the foundations for the Inca Empire. Archaeological evidence now shows that the Amazon was not an untouched wilderness. It was a managed landscape of forest gardens, engineered soils called terra preta, and vast networks of trade. These societies practiced sophisticated agriculture, cultivated cassava and maize, and developed deep spiritual traditions tied to the cycles of the forest and river. Despite differences in climate, language, and culture, indigenous societies shared unifying principles: respect for the land, communal responsibility, and spiritual balance. Nature was not an enemy to conquer, but a living relative to honor. Every mountain, river, and animal had a story.
You see, it flows not just with water.
And through those stories, generations passed down science, ethics, and memory. When Europeans finally arrived in the late 15th century, they encountered not a new world, but an old and deeply rooted one, a continent already shaped by thousands of years of human history. From the Arctic to the Amazon, indigenous peoples had built networks of trade, art, governance, and belief as rich as any civilization on Earth. Their legacy endures, not only in artifacts and ruins, but in living communities that still carry the memory of those first worlds of America.
At the forefront of science, our people continue to thrive. We carry the wisdom of the past into a brighter future.
Thanks for watching this episode of Time Capsule. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please like, share, and subscribe for more updates.
Next time on Time Capsule, worlds collide. Witness the profound moments of contact and early encounters.